The 1920s was the time of flappers, flamboyance, and the face of Alla Nazimova. Hi, I'm Romy Nordlinger. I'm the writer and performer of the multimedia solo show Garden of Alla, which tells the story of perhaps the greatest star you've never heard of, Alla Nazimova.
This is a multimedia solo show which takes you from Russia to New York to Hollywood, tracing the story of this amazing star whose story has been all but stolen from her. You are in a live black and white silent film with the press of a button. So this show can be put into a large theater, a small theater, a gallery space, instant theater. And we are ready for theater, and Nazimova is ripe to tell her story. Why has her story been erased from the history books? This is what audiences from the Kennedy Center, where it received rave reviews, to all over off-Broadway are asking themselves. And her story is a rags to riches story. She came from Tsarist Russia, fleeing the Tsars, to New York's Lower East Side, where she became the biggest star in Jewish theater. And then the Shuberts named a Broadway theater after her. She then went to Hollywood, where she commanded a salary of $13,000 a week, the biggest silent movie star, rivaling that of Mary Pickford. In fact, making $3,000 more than her for each week. Then she became the first female writer, director, and producer in Hollywood. Why was her story stolen from her? Alla Nazimova was openly gay in a time where that was unheard of. She was also a woman who was in power. And this defied the moral standards of her time. I've been a theater teaching artist in Manhattan's city schools, elderly communities, homeless shelters, every age group and demographic. And theater is a transformative way to learn. I have workshops designed to meet any of your curriculum needs. Interactive workshops using improvisation, incorporating literacy, theater skills, and we can address issues such as LGBTQ, learning compassion for other people, history, film history, theater history. I also do interactive talkbacks as the character Alla Nazimova, and I've hosted some famous historians, theater historians, critics. It's a great way to have an interactive Alla Nazimova moment where we can address the 1920s, all sorts of themes in either a talkback setting or a classroom setting. This is a show that young, old, audiences alike all enjoy and all ask the same question. Why have we not heard of Alla Nazimova?
Stop on Hollywood Boulevard. It is a puzzle to you, yes? My heart was born deep in a delicious dark shadow. Oh, but most of you have never been to Mother Russia, have you? Felt its cold winters or been warmed by its biting vodka? The Tsar, the pogroms, the hunger. God, the hunger. Back then you had to be very careful to hide that you were a Jew, to hide that you were a homosexual. And still we must hide. But you take the rough with the smooth, and you make something out of it, if you're smart. My father couldn't decide to be abusive to me, or too affectionate, shall we call it? Never one to make decisions, he settled on a bit of both. My mother, if you could call her as such, abandoned us when we were very young. I didn't blame her. She was simply trying to survive. My father beat her for telling the truth about him, and he beat me for loving her so damned much. Adelaida, darling, let go of my hands. You are going on a little holiday, that's all, and I will be right here waiting for you when you return. Now you be the brave Bolshaya Devotchka I am so proud of, and let go of my hand. Mama! I'm home! Mama! 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 No more Mama. I saw myself in his eyes, so big, larger than life. That night when I got home, he gave me the worst beating yet. This time at last, breaking my arm. And I often wonder if the audiences who envy us know that we throw ourselves into our art to forget, and that the more we work, the more we can forget. Investing every kopeck for my studies and my dreams of being in the theater. You are not ready to play the greats, Ibsen, Strindberg, but you will do. Yes! I joined Stanislavski at the Moscow Art Theater, and the first thing there I learned was to throw away my corsets. And once you come out of their ghastly grips, you never want them back. After the tedious lessons in being trained in how to not act, I was carefully groomed in how to overact under Orlenev's overblown tutelage. Will you go with me? As God is my witness, I will stay with you forever. Well, I didn't mean forever. Acting, darlings, acting. New York! Orleans was my ticket out of Russia and onto the dream of my life, the Great White Way. Together, we scrounged, scrimped, sold our very souls to create a theater on the Lower East Side. We only spoke Russian then, but we were quite a sensation. And now, not only did I not have to hide that I was a Jew, but our play, The Chosen People, put us on the map. Well, maybe not both of us. Extra, extra! Read all about it, that little Russian with the big heart and voice, Alla Nazimova! This is proudest day of my life. And the audiences and the papers proclaimed it so. But Orlenev hid away every review, lest I understood one single word. That hot-headed producer, Lee Schubert, he made me an offer. Say, my little Baltic Bernhard, You're pretty spanking with the razzle-dazzle, and you sure as heck got a corker of a brain to boot. What do you say I give you a Broadway contract if you can learn English in 1 year? Was that a trick question? I learned English in 6 months, even dreaming it. It wasn't long before the Schuberts built a Broadway theater and named it after me. The Nazimova Theater on 39th Street, darlings. Well, after making them $4 million in sold-out runs, that's $400 million today, darlings. I think I earned my keep. My first silent movie picture based on my hit play, War Brides. I was a patriotic American heroine. Not bad for the little shluka from Russia. A huge smash, a box office success. There was nowhere for me to go but up, up, up. In 1917, I made a deal with Selznick for a 5-year, $13,000 a week contract. $3,000 more than Little Mary Pickford. 80 Sunset Boulevard. The end of the line where it all began. Where my Sunday all-women sewing circle was born. I know what you're thinking, darlings, and you're absolutely right. We never sewed a stitch. They called the girls Gillette blades because they cut both ways. That ridiculous story about the actress that answered her door wearing only a monkey on her head. Complete hogwash, I can completely assure you. It was a mongoose. One of the first pools to light up at night, although none so brightly as its gin-soaked guests. Well, we did have fun, man. The kind of fun that is legendary. F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote himself a postcard to remind himself of where he had been while lost in the Garden of Alla. Dear Scott, how are you? I've been meaning to come in and see you. I've been staying at the Garden of Alla. Yours? Scott. My Garden of Alla home at last. Let the party begin! No place to go, no shelter from the press. I was trotted out like a leper, vilified as a sexual deviant. The people, the papers, ready to tear me to shreds in a Dionysian frenzy. A femme fatale failure in a fishbowl full of sharks. I have loved you and America as only an immigrant can. I have succeeded miserably. I have failed triumphantly. My heart, it may have been born deep in a dark shadow, but sharing it with you, it was the all. It was the